after a wonderful 7-year run setting 3 alarms at 3:45 a.m., getting jolted out of bed, making a run for the shower, getting out of the door in 9 minutes and on my way to New York City to say, welcome everyone to Fox and Friends. It all came to a conclusion a few weeks ago, and I'm so excited to have just launched The Real Story with Gretchen Carlson at 2 p.m. I really was blessed to get this opportunity, and I wanted to share with you what I said on the very first day last Monday to the viewers, because I hope it will be the essence of what I will bring to this new show. Here's what I said. I'm looking forward to doing in-depth interviews with the newsmakers of the day and holding everyone's feet to the fire, as well as delving into many cultural issues we face in America. I've never been afraid to share my faith, so we will have a weekly segment on faith in America. We will also have political debates. What I love about the title of the show, The Real Story, is the word real. I'm from the Midwest. I was fortunate to have great parents as wonderful role models who did their best to teach me my core values and humility. When I'm on my way home from work, I can hardly wait to see the cherub faces of my children and what comes out of their mouths, because most of the time it's priceless. My son is not fond of using the restroom in the morning, full disclosure here. So recently he said to me, Mom, going potty is just not for me. Then my daughter had watched a movie where a little girl had an emergency appendicitis, and so she said to me, Mom, what happened to that little girl again? She had her independence out? What makes our family really tick together with work and kids is the families that we came from, and knowing that family and faith are always first. Those roots began for me in Minnesota, and it was an incredible place to grow up. I thank God every day for what I call Midwestern sensibilities. All of my relatives lived within 1 mile of me. We were all 100% Swedish. That was kind of cool. The public school system was great, the values even better. I'll never forget the story about my college roommate who grew up in New York City. She decided she would finally come to visit me one summer in Minnesota. She wondered if it was even civilized yet up there. And we went to the grocery store one day, and the produce manager came out and cut open a melon for her, and she got to smell it. She was like, what is this place? Everyone is so nice. And then she didn't want to leave. And I said, well, this is what Minnesota nice is all about. So the qualities of leadership, goal setting, thinking of others, following your dreams, taking risks and persevering, finding success in the face of failure, all tops on my list, and helped me create what I like to call my script for life. So the word script is appropriate because I'm in television news, and they go by so quickly. We read them in 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Before you know it, they're over, and they're in the garbage can behind me. But our scripts for life are things that stay with us for our entirety. They're so much more important. And one of the biggest ways that I think we can develop those scripts and learn to become successful is by taking risks. This is a plaque that has been sitting on my desk for probably more than 20 years, and it's called Risks. It says in part, to try is to risk failure. Risks must be taken because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, and is nothing. They may avoid suffering and sorrow, but they cannot learn, feel, change, grow, love, live. Only a person who risks is free. In my script, one of the biggest risks I took was at a really young age, at 6 years old. I desperately wanted to play the piano. And when we went up to the neighborhood piano teacher, she said, you know what, Gretchen? You will never be any good at all. You'll be a total failure on the piano because your hands are just too small. So I could have given up and just fallen into the failure. But I went up to the local school and I saw a violin. And in a fluke, I started playing the violin. And from that risk-taking, I ended up having a childhood career as a really serious concert artist. But when I burned out at 17, I took another ginormous risk, telling my parents that I wanted to quit, and they were not happy. They made me promise to find another way to use my talents down the road. And that came in the form of a phone call from my mom when I was at Stanford University, junior year. Gretchen, I think I found the perfect thing for you to do with your talent. I got a brochure in the mail about the Miss America pageant. 50% is talent and 35% is interview. This would be a huge risk because I had not done pageants before. I didn't really know anything about them. Big risk, going to the dean's office at Stanford University and sheepishly telling her, I'm going to stop out of college my senior year to go home to try and become Miss America. She pretty much said that was the stupidest thing she'd ever heard of. Fast forward to the actual pageant with the top 10 standing on the stage, a live broadcast. There's a tie between second and third runner-up. The judges and the auditors are in the box below. Terry, you remember this. And I knew exactly where I was in the program book, and they're flipping through the book, and they get to my page, and I'm looking down at them, and they go like this. I had 12 agonizing minutes of live television while they were tap dancing to try and figure out this tie, to realize that I was probably going to lose. And you know what? Those 12 minutes were the best learning experience of my life, because it gave me the opportunity to reflect on the guts that it took to be up on that stage and to just try. Remember the plaque about risks? The person who risks nothing does nothing, has nothing, is nothing. I was standing up there taking a major risk, and if I didn't win, that was fine. I had learned a great deal. And even though that risk-taking event for me worked out in a wonderful way, the risk didn't stop with the winning. At my second press conference after becoming Miss America, I was trying to endear myself to young teenage girls as a good role model. So I told the press the truth. I was a fat teen. And I grew up with my brothers making fun of me, calling me names like Blimpo and Fatso. Next day, going through the airport to start my tour as Miss America, the National Enquirer, the Globe, the Star, Blimpo wins Miss America pageant. My picture on the front cover, the risk of being honest with the press, live and learn. In the TV world, I've continued to take risks to follow my ever-changing script. You've probably heard about the TV business being cutthroat and unfair, and unfortunately, for the most part, it's true. It's not glamorous at all. Your smarts aren't always recognized either. And maybe one of the most frustrating aspects of the business for me is that there's no real set career path to follow. It's a very subjective business, full of risks, where simply because of your hair color or a few wrinkles, you can be out of a job. In Richmond, Virginia, my first TV job, I had no idea what I was doing, quite honestly. I moved on to Cleveland, where I had the opportunity to anchor the 6 and the 11 o'clock newscasts. And that year, they decided to try something new. They took their own risk. They put, for the first time across the country, 2 women together doing those newscasts. And guess what happened? It didn't work. So I was told that I was going to be replaced by a man. I spent a lot of days asking God what his plan was for me, and he took a long time getting back to me. So finally, after a year of intense personal reflection and a lot of big fat no's, I did land a job. I plan to continue taking risks every day, standing up for the values and ideals I was so fortunate to grow up with, and so desperately want to keep intact for my kids. And sometimes I take a lot of flack for that. If you only watch Jon Stewart's Daily Show on Comedy Central every night to get your news, you would think I was a raving lunatic for standing up for my values and for how I choose to lead my life. How dare I talk about the war on Christmas? Or how important I think it is to have rules for my kids? Or, of course, that horrible thing called being a Christian. That's the one they really can't stand. But I've come to the conclusion that criticism can be very motivating. And over time, I've learned to channel criticisms into strengths and take under advisement the constructive criticism and grow tougher skin for others.